It's been a really interesting phenomenon as I've started building my business, having success in my career, building an online brand, doing content. And it's come from both people that I love and just random people that I cross paths with, which is that the interesting phenomena is that people that have the strongest opinions about what you're doing and like to share that with you are the same exact people who haven't done anything themselves. It's the same reason why the people that most often give the most dating advice are usually the people that have the worst dating lives and the least success in dating. It's because there's this natural human proclivity, and it comes from pride, it comes from insecurity. There's this human tendency to try to project your failures and your scars, for lack of a better word, onto other people. So it's very important that you are careful who you seek advice from, who you seek criticism from, and who you really listen to. Because a lot of people are naive and think that just because somebody says something means that it has to have an impact on you. But those that are wise and strong and resilient recognize that 95% of things that are thrown at you, of inputs, let's say, things that you consume, at the end of the day, don't really hold a candle to what's really important. They take them with a grain of salt. They're not offended. They're not affected when people try to criticize or share their opinions. And on that same wavelength, the wise and resilient people are very, very intentional and smart with who they seek true advice from. It always comes down to people that have walked the path that they are seeking to walk. It's all about, can you reliably take someone's advice, and when you implement it, does it work in your life? And the most tried and true way of doing that is only taking advice from people who have succeeded at what you're trying to do. But we live in an age of bantering, of offense, where people are always being offended and taking things personally. If you're ever going to build anything in your life that's going to be worthwhile, that's going to be powerful, you have to be willing to endure the naysayers. You have to be willing to accept there's going to be a lot of people that have opinions. I look at the great founders of history. Henry Ford, who basically is the reason we have the conveyor belt, the cars, right? Engines. During his time, pretty much every expert, everyone who was publishing about him, who was writing to him, was telling him that engines would never outperform steam, that he was wrong, that his idea would not prevail. And look at every single place on the earth today. It's filled with cars that run on engines, gasoline. So of course, the great ideas and the people that are going to try and make something out of their lives are going to first face a lot of opposition. It's very, very important that you learn to filter through which advice deserves your thoughts, deserves your attention. Because if you take every single constructive criticism if you take all of them just as seriously as the other, then it's going to cripple you. It's going to cause you to get in your head. And that's what happens to most people, is when they start feeling that opposition as they're building something, they quit and they go back to living a life of mediocrity. So you cannot listen to those voices. Understand that their advice and their criticisms of you are really just them projecting their own insecurities and problems onto you. It's really just them thinking out loud and trying to justify why they didn't persevere through opposition in their own life, but instead they chose mediocrity and failure. And with that perseverance, if you become like the greats and those few, eventually there will come a day where the evidence for what you're doing is so undeniable that everyone will suddenly flip and start praising you. But the true leader, the true humble man, is unaffected by either the praise or the criticism because he is driven only by one thing, which is mission, purpose, calling. Find that. Find that in your own life and pursue it. And watch all of the noise around you start to quiet down, because in your mind and with where you're looking, it's a narrow focus. It's very intentional. It's purpose-driven. Those are the people that succeed.